Okay.
Oh, okay.
Very good.
Please welcome to the stage today's presenting sponsor from Raymond James, Amy Boggs, and Jerry Malott, Hall of Fame member class of 2013 and event chair of the 2018 First Coast Business Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pathway to Success. Before we really get going, though, I wanted to let everyone know on behalf of the Hyatt that there has been a parking issue, and they're exceedingly sorry for that. But it looks like we've got a really full house, so hopefully you've all gotten your parking taken care of. So, back to it. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pathway to Success, celebrating people, purpose, and passion. It's the 20th Annual First Coast Business Hall of Fame. On behalf of Raymond James, we are proud to be an annual supporter of this important event and the Florida Council on Economic Education, today's host. It's great to see such an excellent turnout year after year, and that's really no surprise because, as you all know, we're here to celebrate four amazing, outstanding, and well-deserving business and civic leaders as they're inducted to the class of 2018 into the Hall of Fame. John Falconetti, Tim Fincham, Nathaniel Ford, and Gary Norcross. As well, we'll have the chance to honor many of the notable Hall of Fame members who are here with us today. So go ahead, please begin your salads because a lovely lunch is going to be served very soon. In addition to honoring four exceptional First Coast leaders, we are also here to support a very important cause, one that I know you all care about: financial literacy and economic education for our youth. As I mentioned, the Hall of Fame is organized and sponsored by the Florida Council on Economic Education. So Jerry, would you please educate us a little bit about the council?
Will do. Thank you, Amy, and thanks for your sponsorship over many years. The FCEE is a statewide nonprofit organization that trains teachers and then students in free enterprise, entrepreneurship, economics, and financial literacy. For 43 years now, they've been fulfilling this vital mission, conducting state-of-the-art teacher training workshops, providing instructional materials, and fun classroom resources. Informed, savvy, young people are critical to the future of our state and really our nation. And if they're educated in the core elements of economics and personal finance, they will be much more likely to be productive workers, good citizens, and future leaders. We'll hear just a little bit more about the important work of the Florida Council before we break for lunch. But now I'd like to share how four of our very worthy folks were inducted.
I invite you to look at your program because listed you'll find past Hall of Fame inductees going all the way back to 1999. You'll get a good idea of what a distinction it is to be inducted into this prestigious group. Today's honorees were chosen for their character, community involvement, and business success. The Hall of Fame class of 2018 will join an elite group of First Coast business leaders who've been inducted over the past 20 years, and let me tell you, the selection process is rigorous. The First Coast Business Hall of Fame is not an organization that you simply apply to and then join. You have to be nominated and then voted in by the current Hall of Fame members, all long-standing leaders of the Jacksonville business community. These members convene once a year to discuss potential nominees at length and then vote by secret ballot. To be considered, candidates must stand out in 5 different areas. They first must have exceptional business career, be seen as someone who makes significant contributions to the industry. Then they must also make a meaningful impact as a civic leader, donating of their time and talent to the region. Finally, they must, of course, reside or work in the First Coast area and be a great citizen and community representative. Those are all big hurdles, and choosing this year's class of 2018 was very competitive and a great challenge.
So please join me in thanking the Event Selection Committee for their guidance in the nomination and selection process for the 2018 honorees. Ron Autry, Tim Cost, Pat Garrity, Steve Halverson, Siri Harden, Carlton Jones, Marty Lanahan, Kelly Madden, Bob Shercliffe, and Carol Thompson. Over the past 20 years, 76 people during that time have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. And again, I hope you'll look at your program and see the names. It's quite impressive. I too was inducted in 2013, much to my surprise, but I'm really proud to be part of this terrific group and get a chance, particularly every year here, to spend time with fellow inductees. For both Amy and myself, we thank you for being here today to support both the honorees and a very worthwhile cause. You may have noticed there are some white envelopes at your table. If you've not yet had a chance to make a contribution to today's event on behalf of economic education, we hope you'll consider doing so. Now I'd like to introduce David Boyd, Executive Director of the Florida Council, to tell us a little more about how FCEE turns your donations into educational opportunities for Florida students and teachers. David?
Thank you, Jerry and Amy, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm so pleased to be with you today as we honor and celebrate the class of 2018 and support students in Northeast Florida through programs in economics, entrepreneurship, personal finance, and free enterprise. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. In an increasingly complex global and financial economy, the gap between what people know about economics and personal finance and what they need to know is widening every day. We hear from teachers all the time about the need for more resources and training and about their students' desire to understand how the economy works and how to manage their own money. The Florida Council is uniquely positioned to help close this gap in knowledge and competence and provide teachers with the professional development training and classroom resources they so eagerly want and need. Our mission is to train teachers in the fundamentals of economics, free enterprise, and personal finance so that they can prepare Florida's youth, our state's future workforce, to succeed in this increasingly complex and competitive economy. The FCE's core principles are built around something called the multiplier effect. Essentially, if you effectively train one educator, they will share this critical knowledge with thousands of students during the course of their career. Thus our motto, train one, teach thousands. Our unique educator training model goes beyond just handing out textbooks or showing a PowerPoint presentation. Our university and college partners make it a point to ensure that each and every teacher feels respected, secure, and knowledgeable in what they've just learned before walking out of our workshop doors and back into their classrooms. Anyone can provide a book, but the FCE knows that a comprehensive understanding and trusted materials is the key to a successful partnership with our local school districts. This is why we vet all of our materials through a national and statewide network of economists and master educators before we ever put them to use in a classroom. And our staff is available to teachers at any time should they have questions along the way. To date, we're the only organization in the state providing this type and level of service to our teachers. Of course, none of this could be possible without a statewide team of master and PhD level educators. While the Florida Council may be a statewide organization, we understand that education happens at the local level. That's why we partner with and support 5 centers for economic education across Florida, each of which is passionately committed to empowering teachers in their local school districts with the content, curricula, and confidence to be effective and innovative economics and financial literacy educators. Our affiliate centers are located at Florida State University, Miami-Dade College, Florida Atlantic University, the University of South Florida, and of course, Florida State College at Jacksonville, right here in the First Coast. During the last school year, our partner centers provided first-class professional development training in economics and personal finance to nearly 3,000 teachers throughout Florida, all at no cost to the school districts and teachers we serve. We are delighted to have our partners at FSCJ with us this afternoon including Dr. Susan Riley, Director of the FCJ Center on Economic and Financial Education. Dr. Riley is instrumental in providing resources, programs, and training to teachers throughout Clay, Baker, Nassau, St. John's, and Duval counties. Dr. Riley is a great educator and innovator. She has a terrific team of local teachers who participate in her workshops and then take that critical knowledge and inspiration back to our classrooms and young people. Please join me in applauding Dr. Riley's outstanding work in the First Coast region. One more time. Additionally, the FCE helps educators bring these critical economic and financial education lessons to life by providing an extensive array of engaging classroom programs and resources offered to teachers, again, at no cost. On the screen, you can see our signature competitions and programs, and each one is explained in greater detail in your event booklet. So you see, empowering teachers with vital training and resources to take back to the classroom and implement with their students and fellow teachers is the bread and butter of the Florida Council. One program we wanted to highlight for you today is something a little different, and it really seems to get the students excited. It's called Rockonomics. In this high school competition, students work in teams to rewrite a popular song with economic or personal finance lyrics and then star in and produce their own music video. I must say, judging these videos is one of the highlights of our entire year. But why would I tell you about it when you can see and hear for yourself how great they are? And so, without further ado, we are pleased to debut for you here today the economic and musical stylings of our statewide Rockonomics champion, Dave and the Florida Economers, with their soon-to-be smash hit, Fiscal Policy.
Recession's echoing tonight, but they want only whispers of some quiet self-correction. I'm taking off soon for my flight, hoping that I can figure out how to get some inflation. I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some policy advice or new economics. He turned to me as if to say, in the long run we will all get. The economy will crash without a fiscal breakthrough. There's something classical economists would never do. I cut taxes to increase AD. Gonna take some time because of inefficiency. Ooh. Demand shifts over to the right as increasing government spending helps grow the economy. Inflation is reaching new heights, sure as money grows with saving and consuming marginal propensity. Inflation has grown far too wide, frightened of the crowding out effect. The economy will crash without a fiscal breakthrough. There's something classical economists would never do. I raise taxes to increase AD. Gonna take some time because of inefficiency. In the long run, we will all be dead. The economy will crash without this going through. There's something classical economists would never do. I cut taxes to decrease AD. I cut taxes to increase AD. I cut the taxes. I cut taxes to increase AD. I cut the taxes. I cut taxes to increase AD. I cut the taxes. I cut taxes to increase AD. Gonna take some time because of inefficiency. Woo.
All right, wasn't that cool? The students worked very hard on these projects all year long, and I hope you enjoyed their creative rendition of Toto's Africa. And try getting that out of your head for the rest of the day. Before I go, I'd like to leave you with this final thought. The Florida Council is a public-private partnership between educators and the business community. It receives no state or federal funding. Through philanthropic opportunities like the First Coast Business Hall of Fame today, the FCE reached over 350,000 students during the past school year alone. I'd like to personally thank you, the Jacksonville Hall of Fame community, for your ongoing support and with your continued engagement in this increasingly important mission. We look forward to together empowering more and more teachers and students with critical financial education programs. Now, before we break for lunch, there's just one more person I'd like to introduce you to, the new FCE Board Chairman, Bill Thomas, Managing Director of Protivity in Tampa Bay.
Hi, everybody. I got to tell you, I'm really impressed. I mean, Jacksonville certainly has turned out for this important event, and I just wanted to offer my thanks on behalf of the Board of Directors. Congratulations to the new inductees to the First Coast Business Hall of Fame and to the legacy of the outstanding Hall of Fame members. This is a great organization and a great event. I'm glad that you're here. I'm very pleased to represent the board and chair the board of the Florida Council on Economic Education. You've seen the work of the council reaches every corner of our state, and it's something that students will take with them for the rest of their lives. Our motto, which you heard earlier, teach one, train one, teach thousands, really does carry forward, and it does have a multiplier effect, and it's a critical mission, and we're very proud of supporting it. Today's world, and I think it goes almost without saying, the students face pressure to be more knowledgeable at an earlier age than any generation before them. The personal finance challenges they face, the understanding of tools such as the Venmos and the Google Pays of the world that accelerate the ways that they can get in trouble from a personal finance standpoint, really emphasizes the importance of proper training and early proper training to make good fiscal decisions. We expect these students to know more about internet safety, credit card fraud, student loans, and more, all while maintaining the same good standards that we all learned growing up. Get good grades, have good behavior, and especially root for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, I know they're having a rough year, but I'm from Tampa, so, the FCE can't help out with those last three, but what if I told you that the other topics, and many more that I mentioned, are all part of what we do on a daily basis. The basic skills needed to navigate the global economy in which we all live is really at the core of what Florida Council does for our students. So here's the ask. There'll be a slide up there. David mentioned we take no state funding. We are a statewide not-for-profit organization. The resources of the Florida Council help develop those programs and the teacher education needed to address the critical need that we see. This is a fundraising event. Fundraising events like the First Coast Business Hall of Fame provide that support. For the past 20 years, we've been able to impact literally millions of Florida students and given their teachers the tools to help thrive in today's global connected economy. As we move forward with our program this afternoon, I ask you to consider how the work of the Florida Council can benefit you, your employees, maybe your relatives and children. And if you're inclined, as I believe Jerry and David mentioned, we do have an opportunity to give here at your tables today. Your donations will impact students and our future employees for years to come. Speaking of generous donors, I do want to take a moment to recognize and thank the companies and individuals whose philanthropy has helped us and helped the Florida Council be a success. So certainly, as a presenting sponsor, Raymond James, and Raymond James has been a friend of the Florida Council for a long time, and we want to thank you for your support. Our platinum sponsors, the Jacksonville Jaguars, as I mentioned earlier, go Jags, the PGA Tour, the Players Championship, and ViStar, all have been great supporters of the Florida Council, and again, we very much appreciate your resources and your support. We have gold sponsors, Black Knight, Drum and Press, DeBow Family Foundation, Jay Wayne and Dolores Barr Weaver, FIS Global, Florida Blue, Jacksonville Transportation Authority, Publix, Supermarket Charities, and the Jacksonville Transportation Authority partners. I'd also like to thank all of our generous corporate sponsors for their generosity. Their names will be found in the last page of your event program. So can I have a thank you for our sponsors? We really. The final comment, and so we can get the food started, is I'd like to acknowledge the board of directors for the Florida Council. It's a statewide board, and the executives on that board really provide us with the sort of guidance, leadership, and contacts in the business communities that we need in order to be successful. So there are some board members here. We appreciate you being here. And I guess it's on my script here, but if you would look for ways to be involved with the Florida Council and support the mission, please don't hesitate to call any one of us or any one of our staff. We've got a great staff here. They put all this together, and I'd like to thank them as well. That's my remarks. Please enjoy your lunch, and we'll be back with the induction ceremony in just a short while. Thank you.
feeling here inside that I cannot hide. And I know I've tried, but it's turning me around. I'm not sure that I'm aware if I'm up or down, or here or there. I need both feet on the ground. Maybe I'm just going crazy, letting myself get uptight. I'm acting just like a baby, but I'm gonna be all right. Soon as I get home, soon as I get home, soon as I get home, in a different place, in a different time, different people around me. I would like to know of their different world and how different they find me. I just what's a whiz? Is he big? Will he scare me? If I ask to leave, will the whiz even hear me? How will I know then if I'll ever get home again? Here I am alone, though it feels the same. I don't know where I'm going. I'm here on my own, and it's not a game. And a strange wind is blowing. I'm so amazed at the things that I see here. Don't wanna be afraid, I just don't want to be here. In my mind, this is clear. What am I doing here? I wish I was home. I wish.
Very good.
Ladies and gentlemen, please continue to enjoy your meal. Our program is about to resume. Please welcome back to the stage Event Chair Jerry Malott and FCEE Executive Director David Boyd.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to get to the reason we're really all here for, to welcome the newest members of the First Coast Business Hall of Fame. These folks are champions of our community and our region. They've been real trailblazers. And before each honoree comes up to the stage to be inducted, we'll have some brief remarks from someone who knows them well and formally introduce them. David's going to start with our first one.
All right, folks. Our first inductee this afternoon is John Falconetti, CEO of Drummond Press. John is recognized as a visionary entrepreneur who has led Drummond to achieve growth at 80 times greater than the industry standard over the past 7 years. Of course, many of us know John as a leader in both the printing and philanthropic worlds, but did you know that he's also an avid pilot and cyclist? Here to provide us with more insight about John is his longtime friend, Marty Lanahan, from the Hall of Fame class of 2010.
Thank you, David. As a retired banker, I get to fill you in on some of the banking secrets. And there's one secret: bankers don't think that companies will make it past their first 3 years. Just going to say, I don't know if you've ever heard that or not. Raise your hand if you've made it past the first 3 years of your business. 4 or more. Raise your hand. Okay, all of you have, and you've helped dispel that myth. Well, another banker kind of secret is we believe that the third generation of a company is going to absolutely pummel all of the great work of their grandparents and their parents before them. Without a doubt, third generation companies fail abysmally. I am so proud of my dear friend, John Falconetti, because he, as you did earlier with your raising of the hands, has totally blown that out of the water. David mentioned that he's grown above the industry average 7 years in a row, but he did it, I know this because I was his banker, he did that by being smart about not just growing the top line, but making the growth profitable by focusing on the bottom line. He's streamlined his operations. He's hired an amazing team. Many are here today. He's grown that talent, and he's held on to that talent. And it's not announced yet, but John's company, Drummond Press, is going to be named this year as being the only printing company to blow away customer service scores ever. Many printing companies make it 3 years, but John is the first to make it to 4 years in a row. John has done all this while he has been an amazing community leader. 3 governors have appointed him to very important boards: Enterprise Florida, the Aviation Authority in Jacksport. 3 governors. I don't know if any of you have been through a gubernatorial appointment process, but it is quite challenging. Most of all, I am proud that John, as evidenced by all the pictures you have seen, is an incredible father and an amazing husband. That's a man of true character and spirit. And I am proud that John Falconetti is being inducted into the Business Hall of Fame. Congratulations, John.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome John Falconetti.
Thank you very much, and it's great to see so many wonderful people here today. Marty, thank you for that kind introduction. I tell you, you've not only been a great friend, you are a godmother to our children, and for 20 years, you've been a trusted advisor and have helped us along the way. Thank you so much. Thank you. Now, friends, shortly I'll sit back down, and 3 gentlemen will come up and accept this award, and their stories are amazing. Their achievements are fantastic, and I think throughout this luncheon, you'll hear the echo of some common themes. We'll all likely talk about creating a highly engaged team, what it's like to emphasize communication and shared vision, and make sure that the right team members are on the bus. But once you leave the luncheon today, once you go back to your office or you are thinking about this event at home, I want you to remember one thing about today. When you look back, realize that today is really all about me. I'm kidding. With all sincerity, to the nominating committee and to the Hall of Fame members, I cannot possibly tell you how appreciative I am and how humbled I am by this recognition. Thank you so very, very much for this honor. And for me, in my path of life and in my priorities, it's really pretty simple and clear. First of all, I thank God for the blessings that He has chosen to bestow upon me. I'm also so thankful for my wife, Shannon. Amazing mother, a great best friend, and Shannon, it's great to be in this journey with you. It also is about teamwork. It's about building an amazing team, and some of the Drummond family are here with me today, and I appreciate you so much. Paul Van Wee, our president, and Bob Morales, and Krista Knuckles, and Michael, and Brian, and Cindy, and Pam. Thank you all so very, very much for coming. In business, and any entrepreneur, any CEO, any business owner can tell you, in business, you also need a great banker. Well, I'm very fortunate to have my good friend and a great banker in Abel Harding and the team at Iberia Bank. You believe in our vision and our mission. You support us. We share in the success, and we appreciate your support. Thank you very much. Now, when I think of the Hall of Fame members, I kid you not only have these individuals helped me in so many different ways, but they are singularly the highest concentration of my mentors and my heroes. When I think about these individuals, Bob Shercliffe I saw earlier. Bob is the most generous and kind-hearted person that I've ever known in my life. Dolores Kessler. Dolores Kessler has not only challenged me, but every single person that she engages. She challenges you to dig deep down inside and realize the greatness that lies within. My buddy Gary Chartrand. Gary will motivate you to achieve the most unreasonable goals. And Steve Halverson. Steve spends his time not only with business and elected officials, but also dozens of high school mentees. And friends, my point is, not only have these individuals helped me, they've helped so many others. Just like you in your walk of life, every single person in this room has helped somebody else. So today, on behalf of all of those, like I have, been lifted up a step, on behalf of every single person that has reached up and grabbed an outstretched hand for help, I thank you. Thank you for what you do, and thank you for this day. Thank you.
I'm very pleased to introduce our next honoree, Tim Fincham. Tim knows a lot about golf, but he really knows a lot about business. As the former PGA Tour Commissioner for 22 years, he's managed 600 players. I'm sure they're all easy to manage as well. 2,200 tour employees, and this is all around the world. The reason I so appreciate Tim and the PGA Tour is what you've done for the First Coast area is bring a spotlight on us from around the world and continue to do it using the platter that you've set forth. Worked major national TV deals with all of the networks, logged over 180 days a year in travel, which I was just talking to him about. He's glad that part is not something he has to keep doing. But he's had a great career in life, and here to talk to us about him is Hall of Fame class member of 2008, Gary Chartrand.
Thank you, Jerry. It's my honor and privilege to introduce Tim Fincham. Tim retired as the third commissioner of the PGA Tour on December 31st, 2016, following 22 and a half years of unprecedented growth for the organization and the implementation of major initiatives that benefited not only the tour, but the sport as a whole. From the time he joined the PGA Tour management team in 1987, Tim played a key role in strengthening the organization's position as one of the most successful, if not the most successful and well-respected sports organizations in the world. By the time Tim retired, the organization was operating 6 tours: the PGA Tour Champions, the Web.com Tour, plus the more recently added PGA Tour Latino America, McKinsey Tour, PGA Tour Canada, and the PGA Tour of China. Combined, they were offering more than $400 million in prize money, and their tournaments collectively were generating more than $160 million annually for charity, bringing the total raised during Fincham's tenure to more than $2 billion, including a $50 million commitment to Northeast Florida education and youth causes. This would not have happened without Tim Fincham's support and deep commitment to the youth of Northeast Florida. Tim is responsible for the creation of the President's Cup, the FedEx Cup, the Charles Schwab Cup, and later the Web.com Tour Finals. Beyond the PGA Tour, Tim established a leadership role in fostering collaboration between leading golf organizations around the world to promote growth and interest in the game, including golf's historic return to the 2016 Summer Olympics in Rio de Janeiro after an absence of 112 years. Tim's personal dedication to the creation and success of the First Tee, a World Golf Foundation youth program launched in 1997, has helped its rapid growth to include programming at more than 1,000 golf facilities and 8,000 elementary schools, reaching more than 12.2 million young people. Tim Fincham has been honored on numerous occasions, way too many to cover here. Tim attended the University of Richmond on a debate scholarship, received his Bachelor of Arts degree in 1969, graduated from the University of Virginia Law School in 1973. After practicing law in Virginia Beach for 3 years, Tim served in the White House as deputy advisor to the president in the Office of Economic Affairs in 1978 and 1979. Tim Fincham and his wife Holly have 4 children, and they live in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. Please join me in congratulating Tim Fincham.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tim Fincham.
Thank you all, and welcome this afternoon. What a great event this is. I learned a lot in preparing for this about what this council does in reaching young people and teaching them economics. And Ron Price, who is our long-term chief financial officer, is now chief operating officer. I suggested that he might want to get some of our folks into the program here because we're missing a few bucks over there, Ron. Gary was very generous in his introduction, and Gary, thank you very much. There was that bit about my stint at the White House, which is like Paul Harvey, you know, what's the rest of the story? So I had a very lofty title at the White House for a couple of years, and Deputy Advisor to the President for Economic Affairs. In those months that I was there, a couple of years, we successfully got inflation to double digits and secured the loss of the president in the election against Ronald Reagan the next year. But the rest of it was pretty positive. I appreciate you directing those comments to me, Gary, but pretty much everything you said in terms of my time here over the last 30 years has been a function of our team, the great people we have working with us, and it was all instigated by Dean Beeman. And those of you who may not know the story, Dean decided to move the headquarters of the PGA Tour to Jacksonville back in the 70s and create the Players Championship and bring that here. And what followed from that, in terms of the data that Gary referred to, in terms of the growth of the sport, the impact here in the United States, the impact globally, incredible. We're actually approaching $3 billion now for all-time charitable dollars. You may have seen the announcement last summer with Mayor Curry and Jay Monahan, our new, very exciting commissioner, about going over $100 million raised here at the Players Championship, alone. And so it goes. And during that period of time, when the players started going, if you go back to the time Dean came here and started this tour, it was a major, unique step. And what I mean by that is the PGA Tour's headquarters in Washington, D.C. I remember I was living in Washington at the time he moved down. There were articles written questioning, in the Wall Street Journal for one, questioning the decision to come here with the PGA Tour, pointing out that all the major advertising agencies, all the networks that we negotiated, all the other major sports were all in New York. And why would golf go to Jacksonville? But that was Dean's genius and his vision. And most of what has transpired really started with that. When he came down here, the size of the PGA Tour was 20-some employees in a townhouse. We now have over 1,000 employees. But it was his vision about what could happen. And the challenges that he had then were enormous compared to what we have now, given our growth. So we have to point to Dean. I also would like to comment and congratulate a group that's right over here at this table of our red coats and blue coats. These are the individuals who have, for decades, pulled together and led the development of our core of volunteers that put on the Players' Championship. And I'd like for all you guys just to stand up for a second and have a round of applause. You've done a fabulous job. The other thing I'd like to mention historically is that when my wife Holly, who's seated right down here, and I came here in 31 years ago, I guess it was, I started to get invited to meetings downtown Jacksonville with the thing they called in those days the non-group, which is a group of CEOs that would meet and talk about where Jacksonville was, where it needed to go, what we could do to help. And I went for like 3 years, and the conversation was always the same: education, education, education. If we could break the mold and develop education here, same thing the council's doing in different forms, we could really have an impact on the quality of life here in Jacksonville for the long term. In those days, not a lot happened, but gradually the community started to really focus on this. And there are so many great heroes in this room that have really started to move the needle in this area. And I'll just make a couple of examples. Wayne Weaver, who's here, called me one day and he said, "We've raised a bunch of money to bring Teach for America here. Can the PGA Tour help? We need to get X dollars and we can make this happen." And he made it happen. Gary Chartrand, who I'm honored to be recognized by, has been a colossal warrior for education in so many different ways. And what you all do to support this is really part of that. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that my wife, Holly, has been, from my perspective, which is not an inside, outside, an excellent leader in her role as she chairs right now the board of Teach for America. And thank you for that, honey. And so all I can leave you with is, from a PGA Tour perspective, we're going to be around for a long time. When Jay Monahan was asked by me like 4 or 5 years ago, would he be interested in taking my job, and he nodded his head, I said, well, you know, it means it's 20 years minimum. So he's into almost 2. He's got 18 to go, and he's already improved the quality of our team, driven us in a lot of different directions that never happened before. And we couldn't be more pleased with our leadership from him and Allison and Ron, who are here, and the other 1,000 folks who make us very viable indeed. Thank you very much.
Our next class of 2018 inductee is Nathaniel Ford, CEO of the Jacksonville Transportation Authority. Nat's deep desire to become an expert in the transportation industry has made him a nationally recognized leader in his field and has served the people of Jacksonville extremely well for over 17 years. He is known for his passionate commitment to the importance of providing quality transportation for everyone, and particularly to those in greatest need. Here to share a bit more about Nat's story is his friend, Dan Davis, CEO of the Jacks Chamber.
Well, what an honor it is to be here today to introduce my friend, Nat Ford. I've known Nat since he first moved to Jacksonville 6 years ago. He began his career as a train operator in New York and has led the largest transportation authorities in the country. But we all know Nat as the CEO of the Jacksonville Transportation Authority. Nat has been a difference maker. He is genuine, and people know it. The way he has assimilated into the Jacksonville community is very impressive. He knows how to build relationships. His acute awareness to the dynamics of varying situations and issues are keys to his success. Nat has worked his entire 30-year career in the transportation industry. Most of those years were in government agencies and entities. However, Nat does not display what some would call typical bureaucratic tendencies. His approach to operating the JTA has a private sector bent and a market-oriented mindset. And let me tell you this, Nat doesn't care for status quo. He's an innovator who changed the JTA from the top down. He reconfigured JTA's 30-year-old bus route system, listening to customers, designed routes that they could use. And what do you know? JTA has seen a surge in ridership. Under Nat's leadership, JTA has partnered with the private sector to create thousands of jobs and added nearly $250,000 in economic value along the newly formed First Coast Flyer routes. He's made Northeast Florida home to the largest bus rapid transit network in the Southeast. Nat has shifted his focus on revamping transit industry nationwide. Starting in Jacksonville, he's leading by offering alternative modes of transit, such as on-demand services and using autonomous vehicles and technology. This futuristic change agent style leadership earned Nat national recognition and the chairmanship of the American Public Transit Authority. Now, I got to tell you, I love that Nat is building a legacy here in Jacksonville. Every single one of us in this room should be grateful for Nat, that he's building his legacy here. Ladies and gentlemen, Nat Ford is genuine. Nat Ford is accomplished. Nat Ford is an innovator. Nat Ford is a national leader. And it's my honor to be the first to add one more accolade to that list. He's a Hall of Famer. Thank you. Please join me in welcoming my friend, Nat Ford.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Nathaniel Ford.
Well, thank you, Daniel, and thank you for your friendship and partnership. We would not be able to, I would not be able to do what I've had the opportunity to do here in this community without having the support of leaders like Daniel Davis, and has done a fantastic job over there at the Chamber. My sincerest thoughts and thanks go out to the Florida Council on Economic Education. Being inducted with all of these heroes and legends of this community is truly an honor, and so I'm just so really humbled by the opportunity. I also need to thank the Jacksonville civic community, the business leaders, our elected officials. The JTA's success is because we have strong partnerships and a clear vision for what we are trying to accomplish here. Transportation is key to a successful community. The better we move, the greater our community becomes. And so I want to also take the opportunity to thank our board of directors at the JTA board. They set the vision. They actually set the pace, and they've allowed us to assemble, I think, the best transportation experts in the nation, bar none, who work with me every day. And that the board has given us that wide berth to bring that talent into the organization from the private sector, from the public sector. We have individuals who are millennials, and they help keep our more senior folks really up to speed with what's happening with new trends in terms of transportation across this country. The leadership team that I have, and I'd like to point out my leadership team, the managers and the team that is here. Please stand up, the JTA team. I want to recognize you because I'm really representing your work. Thank you. Thank you for the work that you do every day. So I have the opportunity to set the pace, but they have to execute, and they've done a fantastic job. And as it was mentioned earlier, it has gotten us national recognition. We have been seen almost worldwide as trendsetters in our space. Another person that I need to thank is really the rock of my family, the rock of my life, and that's my wife, Janet. Janet does the fantastic and difficult job of making sure that everything that I need to continue doing this fine job, she's there for me, she supports me, and she's there when those phone calls happen at all times of the day, 7 days a week, over the past year, particularly with the national leadership opportunity I had. She was there to help me and keep me spruced up and kept me going. So thank you, Janet, for your support. As Daniel mentioned, we operate the JTA like a business. We do not consider ourselves a governmental entity. We practice good business practices, and we believe that we have a major role in terms of the economic engine of this community. And so as we move people in this community to jobs, moving them towards a good education, moving them to good healthcare outcomes, we have an integral role. So we wake up every day not thinking about getting that bus on schedule just to get the bus on schedule, not building a road just to increase capacity, but it's about what that road, that bus, and that capacity means for our community. It helps our citizens achieve their dreams of a great education, their dreams of having a profitable job, a job that allows them to take care of their family, their dream of having good health care. That is our vision. Our vision is to help people achieve their dreams, help them actually improve their quality of life. And so it's with that theme and that vision, I humbly accept this award. This year's event is very personal for me because the mission, people, purpose, and passion, the pathways to success is right in line with my beliefs, it's right in line with the beliefs of the JTA. I think as I look around the room, there's many folks here who are partners with us. One of the sponsors is a group called the JTA Partnership Group, and it's a group of all of the vendors and suppliers and consultants that work with the JTA. We have 1,000 employees that work for the JTA, but literally thousands of individuals who help support us, and I want to thank our business partners who are also here today in terms of their support. So it's with that I head to my seat, humbled and appreciative of this award. Thank you for this honor. My wife, Janet, and I, we have made Jacksonville, the First Coast, our home, and so expect to see more and greater things coming from our family, the JTA family, and the JTA business partners. Thank you for the honor.
Great job. Congratulations again. Our final inductee today was almost not with us today. Gary Norcross was in New York last night in a snowstorm that had more wrecks going on because they didn't know it was really coming and sliding all over, but figured it out and finally was able to get out this morning and be here to join us. Gary is the chairman, president, and CEO of FIS, a Fortune 500 company with nearly 60,000 people around the world that just celebrated their 50th anniversary. he has a lot of hats to wear, and one of the hats that I appreciate is Gary's been so helpful to us as we've tried to attract new companies to our area, always willing to meet if he's in town, which isn't all the time, but in addition to that, has also brought so much more business to the community through FIS. But he also he and his wife are philanthropists. Amy and he support a wide variety of critical community organizations, both locally here and in his home state of Arkansas, that serves individuals, students, the arts, and so much more. So to tell us more about that is this FIS co-COO, Marianne Brown. Marianne?
So I am so excited to be the one to get to tell you more cool, sneaky, inside information stuff about Gary. Most recently, Gary introduced my husband and I to the wonders of living in Jacksonville. So we're new Jacksonville peeps as well. So I'm going to tell you about Gary, the man, the myth, and the legend. And I've only got 2 minutes, so we're going to be really quick about this. We're going to start with the legend. So you see his bio. You know that he's an amazing business leader, an incredibly accomplished CEO, an incredibly philanthropic family, as you've heard as well. He's loyal, he's a dedicated guy, he's incredibly accomplished, he's wicked smart. And he led us to really 2 important highlights in our corporate year this year. One, he celebrated his own personal 30-year anniversary of his service to FIS. And 2, as you heard, he led us ringing the bell at the New York Stock Exchange this year to celebrate our company's 50th birthday. Really cool. The myth. Ain't no myth. He is the truth. He ain't no lie. What you see is what you get. You know where you stand. He's incredibly supportive. He is Gary through and through. No myth, no lie, he is the truth. And then finally, I get to tell you about Gary the man. So Gary the man is the guy who had his mom join his executive team at a dinner and got to sit back and watch the hilarity of the engagement between his team and his mother. I mean, we got to tell on our boss to his mother. It was excellent. It was absolutely fantastic. That's Gary the man. Here's Gary the man. When you get to overhear a conversation he has with his glorious wife, Amy, and you hear in his voice the love, the respect, and the deep partnership that they share. Gary the man is when he steps out of a key meeting with a key client to make sure that he's in the moment when his daughter Catherine calls to tell him and engage in her excitement about and fear of her and her husband Corey about to make an offer maybe on a first home. Gary the man is the guy who tells you about his son William, who works at one of the top banks in the country and is enjoying this amazing career. And you see the pride in his heart and the voice and his sparkle and stuff. That's Gary the man. Gary the man who makes sure that absolutely nothing interferes with a recent parents' weekend to spend time with their youngest, John Adam. So, and here's the final closer on Gary the man. As our boss, as our CEO, Gary is always right there for you. He has an amazing EQ, and your cell phone will ring, and it's Gary when you're having a moment of just, a professional moment or a personal moment, and he is there picking you right back up. And that picking you up can mean wrapping you in love, wrapping you in support, or giving you a kick when you need it to move on. So it is my deep honor and pleasure to be here and say, congratulations, good sir. That's Gary Norcross. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Gary Norcross.
first, wow, Marianne, I don't know who in the hell that guy is you're talking about. That's ridiculous. I know we're still in the planning cycle for 19, but that's not going to help. Look, I want to thank the Florida Council on Economic Education. It's such a proud honor to be recognized in this Jacksonville Hall of Fame. I love their tagline, Train One, Teach Thousands. For everybody, you've heard a very consistent theme across all the inductees, and this theme around education and training. I think we all can agree that we always have a lot of challenges going on in the state, in the U.S., around the globe. But I think we could all agree that education is always going to be part of the solution. So I urge each and every one of you, if you have an opportunity to, please get involved in education. It really will make a difference. It'll make a difference in your life, and it'll make a difference in a child's life. So very, very important. So thank you. I'm truly humbled to be here to accept this award. I'm not sure how I made this elite group. When I heard the other presenters, John, Tim, Nat, congratulations. It's an honor to be a part of this prestigious class. I just want to congratulate you on all you've accomplished. I want to congratulate you on the difference that you're making in Jacksonville. My wife and I made Jacksonville home starting in 2010, and it's just been a joy to become a part of this community and watch this community grow and flourish. You know, as Marianne talked about introducing me, this is my 30th year with the company. And I never thought that when I joined FIS 30 years ago that I would actually become the CEO, much less the chairman of the company. And it's just truly an honor to be a part of this company and celebrate its 50th anniversary. When I think about what's going on in the industry, Tim and I had an opportunity to talk a little bit about this at the start of today's event. No matter what industry you're looking at, any industry is going through the single biggest transformation it's ever seen, probably in the history of that company. We talked about this from the printing business. We talk about whether it's from the PGA or from transportation. You know, at FIS, we're the global leader in financial technology. We continue to be year in, year out, ranked the #1 fintech provider around the globe, serving more than 20,000 financial institutions around the globe. By the way, Iberia is not one of them. We'll talk about that later. So I just want to make sure I catch that before you leave. We'll meet in the back. But we do serve more than 20,000 financial institutions around the globe today. And we offer everything from retail banking to the leader in payments to we run the majority of capital markets around the globe. And in order to do that, it takes 52,000 employees to pull that off each and every day. And you heard every inductee talk about their team and the importance of their team. But I can honestly tell you, I've got the best team in the financial technology industry, bar none. And it's a real pleasure to work with these two tables. And if you guys could give them a recognition, I'd really appreciate it. They all give operating in more than 110 countries, they all give a tremendous amount of time and of course their talent to this great company. And it really is a 7-day-a-week, 365-day-a-year journey. And it's just an honor to be a part of such an illustrious group. So thank you. Thank you guys for all you do. And so with that, I want to wrap up by recognizing the one that really has made it all work. You know, when you think, when I always see great leaders, and I always look at what great leaders have in common, the one thing they have in common is they always have a great support infrastructure around them. And I have the most phenomenal support infrastructure that any person could ask for, which is my beautiful wife, Amy, who she and I have been, we're actually about to celebrate our 30th anniversary coming up next year. So, and I promise I'm gonna make this one. We had the 25th. I guess that was supposed to be a big deal. We bought a $9 billion company. I had to cancel the 25th anniversary. I'm making the 30th. I'm committed to it. I put the down payment on the trip. We're going. Amy's been a part of my life, obviously, for 29 years. And when I look at all the success we've had as a company, Amy has been part of that. But when I look at the amazing job you've done with our children, it's just phenomenal to see what each of our kids have done. So thank you for all you've done. Once again, I'm humbled by this award. I want to thank you for coming. Please make a difference in education, and thank you once again.
Well, on behalf of the Florida Council on Economic Education, we congratulate our new class of 18, but don't leave just yet, because it's been our tradition for over 20 years that we'd like to introduce you to some of the past Hall of Fame honorees that are in attendance today. So I'm going to call them up one by one to join us on stage and raise a toast to the incoming class of 2018. So when you hear your name called, please come up to the stage and join us. Bill Mason, Peter Rummel, I'm going to go fast through it and come right on up, folks. Dolores Barr Weaver, Wayne Weaver, Steve Halverson, Siri Harden, Gary Chartrand. Am I getting this too fast? Here we go. Bob Shercliffe, Barry Allred, Carlton Jones, Ron Autry, Marty Lanahan, Lori DeBow, myself. I'm here already, though. Harry Frisch, Pat Garrity, Nina Waters, Doug Bear, Tim Cost, who chaired last year's event, and Hugh Green. Would you all come up? And if you'll all grab a glass of champagne here and join us, if you would, in toasting. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're proud to welcome the First Coast Business Class of Hall of Fame class, and I hope you all have come up. Tim and the new honorees here, John Falconetti, Tim Fincham, Nathaniel Ford, and Gary Norcross. Please raise a glass with me to the class of 2018. Cheers. All right, when we're up here, that's a wrap. Thank you for the support you've given to the Council on Economic Education and to our honorees. Thank you very much. Cheers. Cheers.